Today we're going to uncover a real estate mogul who was only making $2,000 a month when he started asking for your money. We're going to begin with a quick bio of our mogul. Beating the odds after living in poverty, dropping out of high school, and serving prison time for drug trafficking, this two-time best-selling author was able to turn his life around by breaking into real estate and becoming one of the industry's biggest influencers. The rags to riches, crime to success, drug dealer to real estate mogul story sounds great and always plays well, but wouldn't you think there would be some mention of his real estate success? Able to turn his life around by breaking into real estate and becoming one of the industry's biggest influencers. Today we're going to find out if Jay is a real estate mogul or just an influencer.
I made millions by 28 out the trap. No college education, high school dropout. Went broke again after being broke growing up. Made millions, went broke again, and bounced back and got it all back. What are you talking about?
Jay alleges he made millions, lost it all, then made millions again. One thing you're going to find about Jay is that his stories never really align. I'll give you an example.
You lived through 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. Those were very, very difficult years for real estate. How did it affect you and your company?
I want to preface with a reminder that Jay said he lost millions, made it back, then lost millions again.
It affected me that I changed my whole entire hustle. I changed my whole entire business model.
The people who took L's during the recession were developers, investors who were over-leveraged with ARM loans, or those with negative cash-flowing properties. What he said next had me a little confused.
I didn't get beat up from a perspective of a lot of foreclosures, a lot of the properties I have being caught with them because I got rid of them early.
Somehow Jay lost millions, but sold all of his properties with perfect timing before the recession began. But here's how he apparently lost millions.
The industry that paid me, which was mortgages, which was, real estate investing, the well was running dry.
Jay is a real slick talker whenever he's telling you how to make money in real estate, but he's not as eloquent when discussing his own story or how he allegedly made money.
The case you're referencing was business from 2000. What everybody's talking about is business from 2007.
What you'll find with Jay is that he always seems to have partnerships that go sideways. He's never the problem, of course. It's always just a business dispute or the partner's fault for trying to slander his name. The lawsuit lists Jay's address at the time. The home last sold in 2000, so unlikely Jay owned it. He was a millionaire but renting a 960 square foot house worth only $100,000. In 2006, plaintiffs and Jay entered into a contract agreement for a property located in New Jersey. It was basically a renovation project where Jay would have the property using the plaintiff's money, flip it using their money, then sell it for a profit. Both parties split the profits. Pretty typical private money deal.
But the business matter you're referencing, and anybody's referencing for that matter, is from 2007 when I was 27 years old.
Keep in mind what he just said. This was all taking place when he was 27. I'll tell you why this is relevant in just a minute. The defendant, Jermaine D. Morrison, breached the agreement by failing to deliver the payments contemplated in this agreement. It's alleged that Jay sold the property without notifying his lender. It sounds like the plaintiff lent Jay the money without putting any liens on the property, working off of trust and a contract, so when it sold, the title company was unaware that Jay owed the proceeds to a private lender.
And it's settled. Either way, it's still settled. My point is, you're talking about something that's 14 years old.
Jay was facing 12 counts in the case, and it sounded pretty cut and dry.
Were you found guilty of fraud?
No.
Not at all.
1,000%. You can't pull up anything, anywhere that says I was found guilty of fraud. You ain't got to ask me that.
By technicality, Jay was never convicted of fraud because they settled. The power of a settlement is that the defendant never has guilty on their record, and they get to manipulate the audience into thinking they weren't guilty. On February 17, 2009, there was an order and final judgment as to Jermaine D. Morrison. The judgment was in the amount of $200,000. Further proven by this document filed a week prior, settled before trial, $200K judgment.
You could look at all the paperwork.
I did look at the paperwork. And the lawyer kind of highlighted some of the lines are blurry. Some of the lines are blurry, but
no, not blurry. Pretty much black and white. When you're guilty for fraud, it pretty much says you're guilty for fraud.
He technically wasn't guilty for fraud, but it doesn't take a lawyer to reach a specific conclusion.
I did a kind of a diverse mix of kind of everything in the real estate industry my first 3 years, and that's when I seen my first million.
He was a millionaire within 3 years. Remember earlier when he said he was 27 when he had the business dispute on a real estate property? He owned $3 million in real estate but lived in a $100,000 900 square foot house. I'm not buying it.
Okay, so after 3 years, you saw $1 million in the bank after taxes.
Yeah. $1 million net.
This dude is lying as bad as a cheating boyfriend when confronted about his leaked text messages to a fling. I'm surprised he didn't start sweating profusely like he does when Tony the closer calls him.
A millionaire is not $1 million in the bank, and you and I both know that. But I had $700,000 liquid.
You'll see in a minute why it's hilarious that he's claiming to have had $700K in cash at one point. Check out how much real estate he claims to have owned.
I was a realtor, inevitably a celebrity realtor at some point, if you want to call it that. Having my own real estate rental portfolio, owning over $3 million in properties.
A $3 million portfolio on top of the cash. Earlier, he said he made millions and lost it all multiple times, but he also said he wasn't affected by the real estate crash of '08. The story isn't exactly adding up.
Like, were you doing it in 2008?
I was.
Okay, so what happened to you in 2008?
I made out well.
Yeah?
I beat the market.
Okay, because it was a bloodbath in 2008.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that didn't buy right.
Are you ready to understand why I don't believe a word Jay Morrison says? I think it's time to unveil his personal bankruptcy, which happened just before his interview with DJ Vlad, where he claimed to own 50 rental units. In August 2016, Mr. Jermaine, aka J.D. Morrison, filed for Chapter 7 personal bankruptcy in the state of New Jersey. On page 2, he still claimed his personal residence as 623 John Street, which is the house I presented earlier. This dude was allegedly worth multiple millions with $700,000 in cash and a $3 million rental portfolio. He lived in a 900 square foot house worth only $100,000, had a massive real estate portfolio in 2017, yet in 2016, sandwiched in there, he filed for personal bankruptcy and never left the tiny house. Don't worry, it gets even better. Jay had between $500,000 and $1 million of personal debt. Mr. Real Estate Mogul claims to have only had $4,700 of assets, but he had over $700,000 of liabilities. Do you understand how ridiculous that is when you claim to be a real estate mogul and you only own $4,700 worth of personal property and live in a 900 square foot house, and you have over $700,000 of personal debt that you can't service? He then shows his massive income of $2,000 a month and $2,200 a month in expenses. I've never laughed so hard when I saw that number. The real estate mogul who can't afford $2,215 a month in expenses. He was only making $2,000 a month. Some of you may be like, well, Spencer, this is personal bankruptcy. He may have business income. He would not be filing personal bankruptcy if his business paid him. He only needed $215 a month from a business in order to break even.
It's Jay Morrison. And so let's get into me exposed. Let's get into the truth. And because of womanizing, because of gambling, I end up going broke when the market crashed.
In the interviews I've shared, Jay made millions in real estate, the market crashes, and he did better than everyone else because he was smart and they were dumb. Now he's telling me he lost everything because of his womanizing? I don't know what to believe.
I was just trying to find my groove and my hustle. I had no car, my house was in foreclosure, and I did not have any interest into real estate.
I'm assuming and hoping this edited clip isn't chopping out context, but this dude cannot get his story straight. He was foreclosed on while he allegedly had $700,000 in cash and a $3 million portfolio.
You may have heard a podcast or interview. One of my ex-female friends said I considered doing porn. And I hate that my daughter's got to hear this, but I did. I literally met with a porn director, and I was trying to figure out what my new hustle would be.
He screws people every day with his investment funds, so you could argue the only difference between his potential hustle and his current one is society looks down more upon adult film actors than fake gurus.
And then I launched the Jay Morrison Academy in 2014. I did launch that with a group of men who were my partners.
If you're following the timeline correctly, this clown lost all of his money in the crash, got foreclosed on, considered going into adult film movies, then started a real estate investors academy. I honestly could not even write a better rags to riches fake guru story than Jay Morrison. Is there anything more fake guru than losing all of your money in real estate, consider doing adult movies, but then decide to start a real estate course on how to get rich in real estate?
My friend Jay Morrison is here. He's also my
Jay!
realtor.
What up? What's up, sir?
Now,
Yes.
you might have seen me on Open House NYC with Jay as well.
Somewhere in Jay's timeline, Jay became a celebrity realtor in New Jersey. He even found a way to get featured on a couple of TV shows as a famous realtor. A former coworker alleges that Jay never sold a single piece of real estate. He was fired from Sotheby's brokerage and never made it at Coldwell Banker. Back to the bankruptcy for more laughs. The dude couldn't afford a $1,400 credit card balance. He was late on a $250 medical bill and owed $120 for a sewer bill on his foreclosed house. He owed 37 grand to the IRS for 2007 income taxes. Assuming that's federal and not state because it's owed to the IRS, that means his income was somewhere in the ballpark of $100,000 at the time, which is respectable, but far from someone who became a multi-millionaire in a 3-year period around 2007. He had a couple more credit cards and the $200,000 judgment he still owed 9 years later. Where did the money go, Jay? In 2007, you sold a property where the proceeds should have gone to the plaintiff, but you allegedly never paid them and owed them $200,000 and still didn't pay it back 9 years later. He had an overdrawn business account balance. What a real estate mogul. Doesn't even have $100 in his business checking account and overdrew. He owed over $60,000 in student loans and $37,000 deficiency on his mortgage. He must have bought a really bad deal if he only owed $37,000 on a mortgage and couldn't just sell the property. He also owed over $14,000 on association fees to a condo he owned. Considering most HOAs are no more than a couple $1,000s a year, owing $14,000 means you probably haven't been paying for years. He's self-employed through his holdings LLC but only makes $2 grand a month. I hope you understand how hilarious this is that a dude claiming to be a massive real estate mogul essentially faked his way through life and created a course on getting rich in real estate when he was only making $2,000 a month and couldn't afford his bills. He claims to have lived at this address from 2006 to 2016, which is different from the other address he claimed to live at. This little 1,400 square foot townhouse that rents for around $2,400 today, probably $1,000 when he lived in it, was apparently the residence of a real estate mogul. Jay is the ultimate fake guru story. To make this even better, after filing for personal bankruptcy, he started a real estate fund to manage your money, because those who can't manage their own funds raise millions to invest in real estate, apparently.
For the last 2.5 years, I've been very focused, and for 4 years from inception of concept, I've been focused on creating a real estate investment fund, a crowd fund that's transparent and that's regulated.
Luckily for us, funds have to file with the SEC so we can evaluate if this fund has been performing well or poorly. He is a fake guru, so are you anticipating this fund to perform well? Time to find out. This is the most recent filing detailing the fund's performance for the year ending 2020. They had around $25,000 from rental income for the year 2020. This is a fund with more than $10 million raised, and they had rental income of only 25 grand for the year. I have 3 properties, and they all gross more than 25 grand a year each in rental income. In total, the fund generated $187,000 from their real estate activities. The major problem is that the expenses were $2.2 million. Jay successfully lost almost $2 million in 2020 after losing over $1 million in 2019. Jay raised something like $12 million and found a way to lose $3 million in 2 years. Let me remind you that the overall real estate market from 2019 until today has been insane. Just buying anything in a major market should have made you significant amounts of money. In the last 2 years, Jay has spent $2.5 million on general, admin, and marketing expenses. Maybe Jay should have figured out how to make money in real estate before asking his large social media following to invest with him. Just an observation. But I want you to really focus on this line item right here, $1 million in management fees for the years ending 2019 and 2020. Do you know who made that money? I bet you can guess who. This joker raised millions, lost $3 million from marketing and general expenses, aka flying private everywhere, and then had the gall to keep $1 million to himself for managing the money. Jay is the only director, executive, or manager for this fund, and he's completely incompetent. This dude filed for personal bankruptcy in August 2016, and 18 months later was using social media to raise money for his fund that loses millions of dollars.
We as the fund managers get a 5.5% management fee, and we get the other 50% share of the profits.
You would think a good manager would take their cut after profits or after the investors receive their preferred return, but nope. Jay Morrison will always be a street hustler. He's just wearing nicer clothes now. And the fund will take 50% of the profits after the investors receive their 8% preferred return, which is abnormally high. Well, let's be real. We don't need to worry about that number at all. He's too busy losing money.
You believe in a person that told you they were a mogul, but don't got one real estate asset they own.
It's entirely possible that this mogul who has no proven track record of success in real estate can turn the fund around and make money, but I'm not sold he will.
But it's an economic vehicle, the first of its kind that is 100% black owned and operated, the first of its kind in the country. So we made history in doing that.
In the event that the fund continues to lose money, what's most unfortunate is that he targeted the black community to invest in him and uplift the black community and give everyone a chance to begin their retirement investing. Jay's intentions and message are great and I fully support it, but I don't think he's a competent fund manager. And if he is in fact just taking large sums of money as a management fee and losing millions year after year, I think he'll go down as one of the biggest and worst fake gurus. They claim to have over 15,000 investors with $12 million raised. That averages out to around $800 per investor. That's a little frightening because these investors were sold the idea of ownership and passive income, but if a majority of the investors are only capable of putting in $1,000 or so, then these aren't sophisticated investors. And even if the fund performs well and brings in 15% IRR, these investors will only be making around $100 a year. They're risking what little cash they have in order to make maybe $100 a year. One of the benefits they list is that you can get started investing with as little as $500. I really hope those of you who are beginning your investing journey listen to this. Please do not invest in a fund if you can only contribute $500 or a couple $1,000. Funds are for investors with 50 to 100 grand in cash sitting in a bank and don't want to spend time finding deals. They are not for someone with a net worth of a few $1,000s. I can't stress this enough. Making 8% is not what you should be striving for when you don't have much. You have to spend that money on improving your skills, which in turn will improve your ability to earn more money. I hope you understand that 8% is such a minimal return when you can only invest $1,000, but the risk is huge. The upside is $80 a year, while the downside could mean you don't have access to the last bit of cash you have. That is not a healthy risk-reward ratio.
I'm a 3-time felon, 2.5 years in prison, Rikers Island alumni, Mod 3 Upper C-74, Lower Dorm.
Jay was a drug trafficker for many years and went to jail multiple times for his crimes. He is no doubt a slick, talking snake oil salesman who knows how to hustle people for money.
I want to warn you, King. Unless you down for them push-ups and showering with men and them hot in the cot, stop the reputational attacks or they're going to lock you up. It's part of your court order.
This is Jay on a rant against Tony the Closer.
There you go.
When you going to unblock me off your page?
Bro, I unblocked you, and guess what? I was blocked by you.
You know I don't play that dumb shit, Jay, so don't play me tonight,
What you mean you don't play? You not no tough guy. Come on, King.
So how you want to handle it? Because we ain't got to do Instagram. You know I know where you live at. You want me to just come
Hold
up?
Hold on. Listen.
Those two held a real estate conference together. Jay allegedly pulled out from some of his obligations, leaving Tony to hold the bag. Tony claims to be owed multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars and sued Jay for it.
I have.
If you got my money, I'll beat it tomorrow. I jump in the lamb tonight. I'll beat it tonight.
I've always told you got your payout for our
event. Do you have my money? I come to that bitch
You
tonight,
have.
Dog.
I've been had your payout.
Listen, you just offered me $19,000 the other day, so you already know you on some bullshit.
In addition to his dispute with Tony, Jay is also dealing with another lawsuit. This one is with Will Roundtree. Will and Jay partnered on a collab where Jay's students would gain access to Will's business credit services. It's alleged that Jay continued selling Will's product after the agreement was terminated. Basically, Jay continued making money from Will's product even though Will wanted nothing to do with Jay. Based on the wording, it sounds like Will wasn't receiving any compensation or profit split, even though it was his copyrighted work and against his permission to use. I want you all to notice something very important. This is Jay's bio on the website for his real estate fund. Not a single mention of past success as a real estate investor. One paragraph is dedicated to his real estate course and another paragraph is dedicated to his criminal past, but not one mention of any real estate portfolio. If you're looking to invest in a fund, please make sure it's with someone with a substantial and proven track record. Jay isn't committing fraud or stealing, he's just incompetent.
And your minimum investment is, again, just 10 shares, which is $500 for you to be not a donation or a GoFundMe, but actually an equity owner, an investor, and shareholder in the fund.
You're way better off buying books or anything to improve your skills or ability to earn more money than investing in a fund like this. Jay Morrison has somehow failed upward in life and is now running a real estate fund with 15,000 people's money. Being a fake guru pays well. Thanks for watching.